Oh crap, I'm live. Oh shit. Okay, now I guess I have to mind my manners. I'm live. All right. Early. Got 10 minutes, so all right. I'll be right back. Oh. Here, just to prove I'll be back. Oh, whatever. I'm ready. Okay. Is it too early? 4 minutes. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. All right then. Okay, let's see what's up. All right, I have no idea how many people are even watching it. It's close enough to 1 o'clock. I'm gonna get started. I'm scared to death. I really am. I don't know why. I wish my husband was here to hold my hand. And I thought I had really good lighting, but man, it's just not working out for me today, I guess. I wanted it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I guess there's no real breaking it. Or this live thing, I guess I can't ruin it as long as I'm gonna knit with you. If you missed my introduction a couple of days ago about what materials you should use and all that stuff, I'll do a quick recap. And I forgot to mention in that other video that I am not a fan of plant-based yarn when it comes to making my teddy bears. I've tried cotton, I've tried corn and bamboo. None of the fibers ever want to stick together, okay? So I always say, just find something that you like, a color, and my version of a gauge for this teddy bear is using the arms. It takes less than 20 minutes. It's the easiest one you have to do of the whole pieces. You just go stock a knit for like 20-something rows. So that's the best way to see if, before you spend all that time knitting up all these pieces and then stuffing them, hoping they'll come out, just do the arm first so that way you get a gauge of your needles. My mother, who might be watching right now, asked me the other day, she said, son, you used a size 4 for your yarn that calls for a size 8, but I only have a size 3. And I said, well, wait until Friday at 1 o'clock and I'll tell you why. When you get to using these yarns that require bigger needles, you want something a little tighter. So I go down quite a bit and I have never really had a problem. However, I run into yarns sometimes that I do have a problem. And I'm like, well, this is not going to be a 4 project. It's going to have to be an 8. So this way we get to see how close our fibers are together. And when we sew it up, we're going to stuff it real fast to see if the polyfill bleeds. If it comes through all the stitches and everything, you just look at this teddy bear and all you can see is just polyfill wanting to stick out. So, and then another example is just to show that before you go through all that trouble and your teddy bear is just ugly and looks like a knit potato instead of a knit teddy bear, you'll find out when we do the arm. So I said the other day that I was going to use this Hobby Lobby thing, but I was like, no, screw it. It's too dark against my shirt. And you're like, why are you wearing all black? And I'm like, well, I had my classic white t-shirt on, but you couldn't see what it was working on. And other people are like, well, you need to have a camera over here that points down so we can see your hands. I'm like, y'all know how to do this. You know how to do this, but this is close enough. I can do that right there. And y'all can see the stitches I'm doing. And I also get to see if y'all are commenting, if y'all need me to shut up and just, while you're counting or, because I'm likely to probably, who knows? It's the life of a knitter when you're by yourself. It's all kinds of things happen in your mind. I might ramble. I might just sit here quietly. But let's start with lesson 1. We're going to start with the arms. We'll just do one because you can do the other one on your own. But let's start with the first one. I'm going to use, like I said, instead of this Hobby Lobby stuff, the Pepto Pink I was talking about. I figured you could see that just perfectly against my black stuff. Yeah, there you go. It's going to be right up on it. Perfect, perfect. And like I said, economically speaking, that pound of love with my coupon was about $8, I think, maybe, and I'm gonna get a bazillion little critters out of this one scheme, so it's very economical. All right, hey Dana. Okay, Duana, thanks, man. Glad you're here. Oh Lord, Dana's a lovely person. I'm sure Duana is, but Dana and I go way back. Dana and I have actually Skyped before, so it's good to see you, girl. I feel better now. All right. Got my cocktail. So you got your set of 4 double pointed needles in the size that you want to use. And we're just going to use 2. I know in any other pattern, it might say, hey, look, and you'll need a pair of 2 straight needles. Just use the ones you've already got. Okay, we're not going that far. We're going to take and do a slip knot and cast on 6 stitches. Okay. Now, when you do your slip knot, I want you to leave a good 4, 5, 6 inches on the other end of it. Okay. That you are going to need later, much needed later. So go ahead and do your slip knot. We've got all that piece left over. Let's go ahead and, excuse me, cast on 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to do everything in my power not to put my glasses on. We'll see. So we've got our 6 cast on. What's cute is I get a lot of people who have bought my pattern and then write to me and say, I think there's a problem in the arm pattern. I can't get it to work. And I always write them back and I say, did you miss the first line where it says start with a purl row? And they go, damn it, I didn't even catch that. And I go, I know, it's the problem in life. Details ruin everything. So you need to start with the purl row. So we're just going to purl all 6 of those back to the other end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, so the next row we're going to, in the first stitch, knit front and back. Knit front and back. So we've got 2 more stitches. Next stitch, knit. Now make 1, and of course if you're not sure how to do that, that space in between, that purl row we did on the bottom just now, this is why it's important. We're going to lift up that piece, and that's how we're going to make 1. We're going to lift it up, put it on the other needle, and knit it back off. Knit the next stitch, do another make 1 using the purl row from below, knit the next stitch, another make 1, another knit in the next stitch, and then the final stitch, again, front and back. There you go. Easy peasy. Next row, purl. All the way down. Damn, I'm going to probably need my glasses. Let's see how many of these beers I get through. We've only got an hour together. I should be okay. It's just one of those things I'm not willing to admit to yet is I really do need to walk around with my glasses on a chain. That's just going to enhance my look. So we've purled that row. Next row, we're going to knit the first 2 stitches. 1, 2, and then we're going to make 1 again using the stitch of the row from below. Lift it back up, put it on the left needle, and knit it off. And we're going to knit 2 again. Knit 1, knit 2, another make 1. Then knit the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, make 1. Knit the next 2, 1, 2, and then make 1 and knit the final 2 stitches. And that's about as complex as the arm gets, truly. So now we're going to stockinette the next 25 rows. Yeah, the next 25 rows, beginning with this first purl row. So this is where we all start counting. I don't know, I'll probably chit-chat in between. Who knows? But I tell you, it takes no time to make this teddy bear, especially when you make these arms. You're like, man, it took 15 minutes. So row 1. I will go ahead and say that my knitting basket is too small for this pound of love, so it just rolls all over the place. So if you see me pulling it, I'm actually pulling it from probably 5 feet across the room. Row 2. There we go. Trying to get an angle where we can all be sitting there looking at it. There we are. Yeah, I don't have all that fun stuff that all these other lovely video YouTubers have. use what you got and you'll be fine. And I met up with a woman a couple of weeks ago when we first moved into Honeychurch, who I got to sit and meet with in real life. And I don't know if you got to read that blog, but I had a great time. It was the first time I actually knit with another person. And it's kind of cute because we sat there with our knitting, but we didn't actually spend the whole time knitting. We actually did a lot more talking. And when it got interesting, you put your needles down and you lean forward and listen. And I really enjoyed it. What she noticed right away was she was like, "Oh, you're a continental knitter." And I was like, "Yeah." I learned to crochet first. And when I went to learn to knit, this is long before the days of YouTube and all that stuff. You had those poorly written pamphlets from Leisure Arts that had like drawings with arrows to show you where everything goes. It's not the easiest way to learn, but I got it. But because I had already learned to crochet, it seemed natural for me to hold the yarn and the needles in almost the same way that you hold your work when you're crocheting. That was row 5. I have no lighting in here whatsoever. Man. It's gorgeous outside though. We may have to do this tomorrow outside because I look ghostly. And I personally think that continental knitting is a much faster way to knit. I couldn't even begin to work on a project. I don't know if it's required for certain projects, but to do the American version, or I think it's the American version. I don't know. I've never heard what everybody calls the other version. Is it just English? It's always my assumption they called it the continental because it was the Europeans who did this version. I remember growing up when I lived in Europe, everybody in England called the Europeans the continent. So I just assumed that's what it meant. I usually don't Google these things up. If you know the answer, save me a minute from having to Google it. Such fun. Okay, I'm on row 9. I don't know about y'all, but again, this goes through so fast. Okay. Row 10. I usually call out like certain rows that I'm working on because when I'm doing this by myself, there are usually places where I stop for a minute to use the bathroom or to get something to drink. And I always pick row 15. I don't know why, it's stuck in my head that if I put my work down rather than having to count my stitches, I'm like, where the hell was I? Or right, I don't know. I've never used a counter before ever in my life. I was testing out my camera and everything earlier today, and the light was so much prettier. I wish I'd filmed it. But I noticed I was sitting here just wanting to see what happens. And when I sat back in my chair, I glanced up at the screen and saw my face. And it was interesting to me. My face looked so angry while I was knitting. I was like, well, that can't be right. Nobody can. I'm probably just looking focused. But of course, I looked like I was pissed. Who knew that resting bitch face began with a knitter? It's probably just a knitter's face. Yeah. Right. I think I really like this stuff more than I did when I began with it. This Pound of Love. I'm a loyalist. I find a brand and I stick with it. And then through one means or another, yarn will arrive at Honeychurch and I get to try new things. And some are a bust and some are just, I'm like, man, that's my new go-to favorite. Now I have about 5 new go-to favorites. Most of them commercially available, of course. I don't have the money for boutique yarn. Although what's funny is if I ever did have the money, I would open up a boutique yarn store. This neighborhood needs one. Hell, the world, this town could use one. We don't have one here. Funny. We don't have one. Okay, that's row 15. So that's where I go. Just stop for a second. Y'all need me to catch up? No? Okay. Are y'all knitting or just watching me and having fun? Either way, it's good. All right, row 16. And you always begin kind of, when you do this over and over, you always realize on what side, like I can pick this up having left it for 3 days and go, that's row 16, the next one I start on. Yeah. Right. What else I noticed too when I was looking through videos of, you know, people do this for a living. I don't mean knit, I mean do it on film. Ooh, I have a lot more respect for people who do live stuff because I am feeling better than I did when I first started, but I'm still, oh Lord. But it was great to see that, you know, everybody's got this, you know, backdrop of all their yarn and it's all these big cubby holes and these great colors and it's just beautifully behind them and everywhere. And if you saw my introduction video, you saw my stash. It's all still in boxes over in the corner over here because I don't have any shelves yet. Shelves are expensive. So it's all nice and tidy in boxes. And I know where, you know, where everything is. So I just keep it over there until I can find some place to put it all. My books are in just as bad a disaster. They're just in like rows on the floor and I mean in stacks. And it's like a damn minefield in here of literature. I dare a stupid person to make a step in this room without hitting the book. That might have been rude. Sorry. Okay, row 20. We're almost done. No time, no time. No time at all. Sure is pretty out there. That ligustrum is blooming over there. And ligustrum has a nice fragrance scent that's similar to like jasmine or camellias. It's row 20 before I start running my mouth. But what's cool about the ligustrum is that it creates its own kind of canopy and shade. And when the little yellow flowers bloom like they do, it's such a magnet for bees and butterflies. And the more bees and butterflies you have in your yard, the better everything is going to grow. So you want a nice ligustrum in your backyard. That one must be at least 50, 60 years old at best. Because it's so big, it's so tall. Yes, I truly love this house. Oh, sorry. Are y'all caught up with me? Are y'all a little behind? I know I tend to be a little speedy with my knitting. It's all right though. We're going to take a break in just a second if y'all need to get caught up. I'm probably going to have to use the bathroom. I guess you're not allowed to do that on live TV. You can't excuse yourself to piss, but I'm accustomed to breaking the rules once I know them. row 4. Now this is our last stockinette row, 25. This, in a second, I'm gonna get way up on the camera so we all know what we're supposed to do to make it a really nice looking teddy bear. This last row, you're on the knit side, the right side. You're gonna go ahead, knit the first stitch. Looking for my yarn. There we go. Knit the first stitch, then knit the next 2 all the way to the end. So knit those 2, then knit these 2, then knit those 2, then knit these 2, and these 2, and these 2, and these 2. This kind of creates the rounded paw, so to speak. Now we're done knitting this piece. We are going to take a huge, there you go. Hey. I'm going with probably about 10 inches, okay? Usually what I do is I hold it and just kind of do like that whole yardage thing with my arm. You don't need that much, you just pull it back a little, okay? So about 10 inches. You're gonna use this, again, you need these particulars when it comes to making this teddy bear look really, really tight and good. Okay, so we're gonna go to the bottom side with our cast on side. We're going to fold it with the right side faces showing. Uh-oh. Okay, so that was funny, okay. Okay, so we're gonna take the right side and we're gonna fold it at the seam, right side facing. And then that piece that we used when we did the slip knot, we're gonna get our embroidery needle. And it's gonna seem counterintuitive to you, but trust me, I've done this 8,000 times. I've done 2 arms for every bear. You're gonna go all the way to the very end, right here. You see that? So you're almost gonna create your own square, even though the yarn is coming from a different direction. Don't even think about it. So go to the very end over there, right? And then just start sewing up that opening. Don't sew just at the very edge of the cast on. You'll just have these big gaping holes right through there. So go a stitch underneath, okay? Sew that up. It does not have to be perfect. This is all going to be hidden behind another layer of sewing anyway, but you just want to close this up to make sure the polyfill doesn't come out, okay? And then we're going to tie it off and hold on to it for just a second. The other side, this piece that you cut off, go ahead and put that on your needle. And take off your live stitches and put them on the needle. There you go. You don't have to do them all so dramatically like this. You can do them all one at a time. I'm having more fun now. Take them off. Draw them all through really, really tight. Again, we're going to take the right side facing, fold it at the seam so that the seams meet. Right? You got it? You got it? You with me? You with me? I want you from this side to go almost to the top, not quite, but right through the very middle. Let's see. Right, here you go. That's better. Right through the middle. Trust me. Pull it through. So your seams here go ahead and sew up the seam right there at the top, but don't keep going. Stop right there. And no more light. Come on, we need some light up in here. All right, I guess the storm is coming. To do the first stitch from right side facing, then turn it inside out. There you go, right? And then go ahead and just start sewing up each of these seams. It takes no time at all, but it will give you the nicest, cleanest look if you just go through this first one, not through both, but just that that first one, and and then the one on the other side. Just almost like through the middle of those two stitches that are side by side. You can see what I'm doing. You probably can't. I'm doing my best, baby. I'm doing my best. There you go. Right, and I'll see you're going to go through these two, these two, these two. You'll see them nice and clean in your own hands. If you pinch it perfectly, you'll see them just ready right there. You don't have to go hunt them down is what I mean. Yeah, I think we're going to have to do this tomorrow outside so we can get some really good light. Honeychurch has a lot of beautiful light, but at this time of day, it's all in the front of the house. Now I'm back here in my little room doing what I do. Almost done. You're gonna sew up each of those little stitches till about 1 inch from where you're done. And then of course this is the one that we used to sew this up, obviously. You're gonna just cut that off now that we have it. Ready? Now, get your polyfill. Now, it's my experience, and I had a friend who did this. I asked her, I was like, in the early days, I had like a bazillion teddy bear pieces all over the place. And I was just like, I'll knit, you stuff. Man, she did a piss poor job the first time. And I was just like, you got to go. Don't take a big clump of this stuff and just try and ram it in there. No, use smaller pieces at a time so that you can get a more even stuffing. Otherwise, it's going to be bulby and cracky and weird. Just use a piece at a time, just small pieces. Use your thumb, stick them all in there. Make sure you press them all in. Almost like cotton ball sizes. One, all the way in. You can feel the sturdiness of it rather than having dips and you know what I mean. If you've come across some poorly stuffed crap, you've seen it's all lumpy. And again, this is another opportunity we get to see while we're stuffing if our skein that we've decided to pick to make this project is going to be okay, because this would be the time you go, oh Lord, you can so see all of my polyfill. Right. Nice. Done. So then we're just going to sew up that last inch, doing exactly what we did before. Those two side-by-side stitches. Man, I'm going to have to put on my glasses to thread this needle, dude. Okay, so last two, or excuse me, this last inch, sew up the last two like we have been doing. I don't know what you call this stitch. I think it's mattress stitch. I could be wrong. In my universe, it's generally called this stitch. I don't know what it is, but this is the stitch I'm doing. So it's this stitch. And we are going to do the very tippy end. And of course, anchor it by making a knot. And see how nice the seam is. It's almost even. Almost. It's even enough. But that's going to be at the back of the bear, so nobody sees it. It's just for your own delight to know that you did everything you could to make it as perfect as possible. Let's take a break. We've been doing this for half an hour. Good job, Gregory. I am going to go freshen up. I will be back in less than 5 minutes. maybe less than 10. It's not going to be very long. And that'll give you all a chance to work your own legs. And thank you so much, everybody who's over here chit-chatting. We got Diane. She bubblegum pink, yes. Oh. Okay, y'all still with me? Oh Lord, we have new people. Hello. Hello. This stitch, yes. Just my work to say hello to her. Hello. Well, this is lovely. I appreciate this. Thanks, y'all. Okay, y'all ready to do the legs? I went in and I grabbed myself another beer and I was mowing down on blackened turkey. Today was payday for Philip, so it's grocery day. And I went and got groceries. And it's expensive, but we love it so much. So I got some from the deli, thin slice for sandwiches, my favorite. I love spicy food. I think that kind of heat keeps the devil at bay. Okay? Anyway, ready? We're going to use our double pointed needles as straight needles again. Yeah, everybody's loving this stitch. Yeah. Well, that's just what it's called if you don't know it. All right, like we did with the arm, when you do your cast on with the slip knot, this time leave even longer. Excuse me. Leave even more. This time leave a good 10 inches, okay? You need a nice long piece to sew up the paw of the leg. Do your little slip stitch, and we are going to cast on 10 stitches. So it's 1, oops, 2, 3, get my beer out of the way. 4, damn it, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right then. So like with the arm, details screw up everything. Start with the purl row. Purl all the way across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here we go. First stitch, next row, knit front and back. You're going to do almost like you did with the arm. Knit the first stitch front and back. Knit the next stitch. Make 1. You remember how to do that. If not, you can rewind. Isn't that great? Knit, make 1. Knit, make 1. Knit, make 1. Knit, damn it, make 1. Knit, make 1. Knit, make 1. Knit, make 1. And of course, always refer to the pattern if you need to know how many stitches overall that makes, because I don't have it memorized. I have done this thing so many times, and that's the one thing I can never remember is how many. It doesn't seem to matter to me, okay? But always refer to that if you need to count back and go if you've got the right number of make 1s in between there, okay? Next row, purl. That was my grandmother's name. Now, if anybody needed a book written about them, it was her. But she great stories I could tell. But I know that woman would come back to life just to kill me if I did that. It's a shame. Maybe I'll just have to disguise her stories in some other piece of work. Of course, her name was Pearl after the gem and not the stitch. I don't want y'all running around thinking my grandmother's name was a verb. Okay, next stitch. We're going to knit the first 4, then make 1, then knit 3, make 1 all the way down. I think that usually is set in brackets. Knit the first 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make 1. Knit 3, make 1 all the way down. 1, 2, 3. Make 1. 1, oops. 1, 2, 3. Make 1. 1, 2, 3. Make 1. 1, 2, 3. Make 1. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to stockinette for 7 rows while I read your comments. Hey, good evening, Annie from Scotland. Hello. I see. I knew people from the UK would be here, so that's why 1 o'clock was a good time. Proper names, yeah. Slip, slip, nip. I damn skippy. The cast on is a knit row. Yep. All right. You know, I'm trying my best so that y'all can see what I'm doing. I know y'all know how to, I said y'all know how to do this. I'm trying to find the right angle where it just feels a little more natural that y'all are looking at it. I don't know. You know, if this goes very well, these like little live tutorials or anything I does go well, I always, you know, like the idea of coming back to it because it was fun, not because it was financially successful, but just because it was fun. And do what you love and the money will follow. But if this ends up being a lot of as much fun as it has been so far, I will take whatever couple of dollars it affords me and go get the proper equipment. Or at least some shells. But I don't know, man. I don't want to be the guy that has all the yarn behind him. You know, it's so typical. You know, y'all should see other things behind me, like I don't know, a poster. Yeah, Susie and the Banshees poster, Kate Bush poster, or I don't know, something that's a little more distinctive of who I am. I'm not the kind of person that, it's so strange to say, where's my knitting on my sleeve? Literally. I wear my socks, but no one can see them except me. And it's kind of a guilty pleasure because, you know, everything I knit, I sell. And the only thing I ever keep for myself are my socks that I knit. So that's my selfish knitting. I'm on row 3, by the way. I'm trying to get also my elbow comfortable over here. It hurts today. I must have used it to elbow Philip in the head while we were sleeping, because you know his head is made of concrete and it's huge. So it's quite possible I accidentally hit him. We can never tell when that happens. We can certainly tell when he accidentally hits me. I wake up with something broken or bruised. That's row 4. Y'all think I'm running my mouth now. Wait till we get to the body where it's just us going around and around and around for a good 30 minutes. Oh, yeah. Stories I'll tell. This is row 5. In the early days of making this teddy bear, it used to end on row 5. And then I went and graduated. I said, no, it doesn't look right. I'll add 2 more rows. So I made it row 7 would be the last row before we do anything else. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Let's see what happens if we add even more. And it looked so weird. It was amazing to me. It was like how 2 extra stitches made this do just I don't know. It just didn't look right. 6. And I haven't checked myself in a while. Am I still making resting knit bitch face? Wasn't on purpose. It's just how the light caught me. And finally, row 7. Okay. Now we're going to start doing some more decreases with the next row. Let's take a peek at what's going on over here. Like yours. Bookshelf, all the best celebs broadcast in front of their bookshelves. Yes, they do. You know, it used to be this kind of interesting way of being able to express yourself, or it's like when you saw their book, the library, to see, you knew where they were. Uh-oh. It said my connection was unstable for a second. I guess that means shut up and get back to work. Okay. We're going to knit 8 stitches, and then we are going to knit 2 4 times, and then knit the last 8 stitches. It'll be even on both sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now knit the next 2 stitches 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now knit next 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to purl the next row again. In my pattern, you never do anything interesting on the purl row. It just sets us back to square one, I guess. It basically just evens everything out. You could do some decreases on the purl row, but I think mathematically it'll look a little too tight and too leather. So our purl row, when we're doing the arms and legs, is basically just to get us back to the front side of canvas where we do all the real work. Okay, the next row now we're going to knit 6 stitches and then knit 2 4 again, and then knit the final 6 stitches again, equal sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Knit 2, knit 2, together of course. Knit 2, knit 2, knit the final 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Knit the next, or excuse me, purl the next row. Okay, next row, we're going to knit 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then knit 2 just once, and then knit the final 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to stockinette for 3 rows. So purl, It's 1. Now we're going to knit this row, row 2. And purl the 3rd row. All right. Okay, the next row, we're going to knit 2, and then we're going to make 1, knit all of them in between, and then make 1. Here, I'll show you. When you get to the last 3 stitches, separate them. The last 2 between the rest of them, we're going to make 1, then knit the last 2. Does that make any sense? No, well, it's written in the pattern. It says it much better than I ever could. Okay, 1, 2, make 1. So basically, we're just making an even distribution of newly added stitches on either side. So you could do it in theory, the very first and very last stitch. I've tried that. It's very difficult to sew. I don't know why. So we're knitting all the way to the last 2 stitches. And before we knit them, like we did at the very beginning, we're going to make 1 and then knit these 2. And then we're going to go ahead and stockinette for 15 rows. Y'all go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go turn the AC on real quick. Yeah, I had to turn it off because I thought y'all might hear it, but forget it. It's hot. I feel like I'm about to sneeze and someone's gonna say he's got corona. No, it happens when you turn the AC on when it's not been on for a minute. Those things. I'm gonna tell a fun adult joke real quick. In the early days of the pandemic, people were wondering what the hell's going on with toilet paper. Why is there no toilet paper? Somebody said the funniest thing. They were like, because 1 person sneezes or coughs and 5 people shit themselves. Yeah, true, but sad, but true. So, and you see that more and more prevalent these days. When you're out in public, even if you're wearing a mask, you hear a cough or a sneeze and you're likely to go, uh-oh. Weird though, you know. Anyway, I'm on my row 1. What are y'all talking about over here? It's me with my thong. I see the misspelling, but it's cute. Here I am in front of a blank wall. Just me and my thong. That's cute. Annie, we were talking about this a little earlier. I'm doing Continental. We already did a treatise on it. So, hey, if you Google it up and find out why it's called Continental, if it's based on the actual continent of Europe, you're going to get a big gold star. I have no prizes for anyone. I'm sorry. Is that something I should have done? I don't think so. Number 3. Hey, we're making good time. I didn't want to take too much of your time. I didn't think that would be very fun. You know, and I've got other things to do too. I'm working on 2 freaking books right now. That's why I'm not updating my blog as often. Not every day. It's basically right now just anytime I get a chance to write or work on these 2 books. Weird. No, that's not weird. That's what I should be doing. I'm on row 5 now. It's kind of funny, after so long of doing these, it's been about 10 years now, I don't need to count as much. I can just kind of look at the piece and know pretty much what row I'm on. It's been quite a few years since I've actually looked at my own pattern. I think the last time was one of those days where you actually forget how to spell the word the. You all know what I'm talking about. You have that one day where you're like, stop means go. And I had to go double check my own pattern. I was like, what the hell? Of course, I had not done this in quite a few months. But something as simple as my own little teddy bear pattern had me confused. This is row 7. I like watching y'all chit chat. I don't feel so by myself right now. Weird. Again, it's not always weird. Yeah, I'm experiencing this new kind of joy in life since I moved into this house where my agoraphobia seems to have just gone nowhere. It's just almost like dissipated instantly. It's that's weird because the things that I used to find forbidden in my daily routine, I now embrace. I mean, I can't possibly go out in public. I can't possibly. Caught myself trying to do it today when I was headed to Publix. It was like, there's no way I can get there and back in time before I do this broadcast. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. It takes me an hour out of my time to get there, buy my food, and come back. I mean, what was I thinking? Finally, it was like 2 minutes before the bus was going to come. It was like, it's do or die, Gregory. Go get groceries or, once again, find an excuse for you not to leave the house. So I went and got groceries. I'm on route 10. I had to be mindful of my elocution as well. It's a part of me that at some point in my life would have been. That was route 10. 11. 12. We're almost there. If you see me snickering, I'm reading y'all's comments. Row 13. Excuse me. I was mistaken. It is not stockinette for 15 rows. It is stockinette for 13 rows. My apologies. This is row 13. This is the last stockinette. The next one we're going to do like we did with the arm. We're going to knit the first one and then knit 2 stitches together all the way down or to the end. Knit 2 together, knit 2 together. K2 tog. Okay. And again, the same philosophy we had with the arm. We are going to need a lot of this. So once again, please, this time do. You know, you can never have too much. It sucks if you don't give yourself enough of this. And again, you're going to need this later for sewing. So be generous. Do the whole yard thing and always just cut it back if you have to. But that will ensure that you've got plenty to sew up everything. And we'll get to that on the 3rd day. But like we did with the arm, we're going to fold it. We're going to start with the bottom, our cast on part. We're going to fold it right side facing at the seams. And we're going to take that cast on piece. And again, it's counterintuitive because it's right in the middle, but we're going to pull it over here and pull it through the very first 2 stitches over here to create an even line. Go. So again, we're going to come over here, 3 or 4 stitches, find basically the idea of the corner, and there you go, nice and straight. And we're just going to sew that up. Again, don't sew through the cast-ons at the very tip of it. You'll end up with these big gaping holes. You know why I know that? I did it a lot. So go down a stitch or 2. Hell, it's kind of funny, like my early bears look completely different than my new ones, obviously. Because I've learned over time things that look better. And as it evolved, I've realized that there is no finished piece. You still keep evolving somehow to make it look a little better. Like I'm thinking about the eyes these days. I'm not going to confuse y'all with this lesson about what I'm thinking about the eyes, but I think I'm going to change up the eyes just to make them more fun. And again, we've taken, that long cut piece and thread it, and we're going to take off the live stitches and draw them all through. Last one. Pull it tight. Again, fold at the right side with the seams. And just like we did with the last one, I want you to take this and I want you to go on the opposite side, right through the middle towards, let's see if you can see that. Let me do this correctly. Yeah, right pretty much through the middle of the piece. This is basically just to close up that hole. Then again, sew up the first 2 stitches, turn it inside out so that the right side is now outside. Pinch your seam, and I'm telling you, if you do it right, if you just pinch it, you'll see them. There you go. And take the first 2 that are closest together and sew them up until you leave 1 inch at the back or at the end. And what do we call this stitch again? Ladies and ladies, what do we call this stitch? This stitch. You can see it when you're working it. You can see, oh, okay, I can see the ridge forming. It's a very nice, tight rounded seam. You can see if you're screwing it up or not. You can obviously just quickly undo it. I don't think there's any such thing as a bad looking teddy bear, especially one that you've made yourself. You can't mess this up. There's no such thing. It will just have its own identity. It'll be special and different. Almost there. Leaving 1 inch, and you can see the seam is pretty nice and even. Cut off that little piece. I don't know why I wait to the end. Maybe it's just like a panic thing if I have to take the whole thing apart. Anyway, cut that since we no longer need it. Go ahead and start stuffing again. This saves you time, because if you're having one of those days where you're like, I just want to knit, and you start knitting up pieces, and you just sit there and you look at a pile of things that need to be tended to eventually, and it becomes just a work in progress. Go ahead and start stuffing them up. Again, we're just going to use like small cotton ball size pieces, just get down little by little, make it structured so it's not lumpy. Little piece by little piece. Let me see one in there. Kind of use my thumb as a guide. And I do the bottom, this, before I even go anywhere near here. And then when I get to the paw, toe, whatever, foot, whatever that is, I'm going to go ahead and shove at the top and put it all the way to the back of it. And then just start filling in the blanks, man. Yep. Ta-da. Right. Okay. Looks good. Looks like a foot, doesn't it? Let's go ahead and sew it up. Do exactly what we did with the other stitches. We're just going to pinch and use those first two right there. Side by side. They were made for each other. That's why they're anxious and look so good when they're finally stitched up. They were made to be together. Almost there. Still haven't needed my glasses, thank goodness. And we're almost done anyway. La-da-da. Do. Last two, we're going to go ahead and, anchor it, as they say. Just, put it in and make a knot. We're all sewed up. So, got a foot, got an arm. Your homework is to do another one of each. I know you can do it. If I hadn't been running my mouth, y'all would have kept on doing it all yourself and counting on your own. I know it was probably saying my own numbers and you were like, shut up, I'm on row whatever. It's okay. You can always go back and do it again. Give me about 2 seconds and we'll finish this up. I'll be right back. Okay, we got a few minutes before I have to go. So I thought I'd have a cigarette and we'll do the whole world in review kind of news, and I'll be able to match a stitch. I think it might be a match a stitch. If there are any questions y'all have before I go, we got about 5 to 6 minutes. And then tomorrow we're going to do the next lesson, which is going to be the body and the head. So we're going to go full on double pointed needles tomorrow. So if you aren't happy with your double pointed needle work, or you're just not that familiar, go ahead and spend some time looking at YouTube videos. I'm going to do what I can to show you how I join double pointed needles and work with them. But with this angle, I can only do so much. So get as many other references as you possibly can. Because tomorrow is going to be the day where that's where we spend all of our time dealing with double pointed needles. We're going to do the body and the head, and then Sunday at 1 o'clock, we're going to put it all together. We're going to stuff, well, we've already been stuffing, but sew, embroider, contour, do the ears, put on a ribbon, make it look beautiful. And that is going to be so much fun. And then I'm looking forward to seeing what y'all have been up to with these. I mean, it's going to be pretty simple. It's simple. It just needs some nuance. So, anyone got anything to say before I go? I have enjoyed myself thoroughly, by the way. I don't know if you're allowed to. Oh, you're not allowed to smoke on YouTube. Shit. Sorry. I didn't think that I was going to handle this well. I was terrified that I was going to flub it all up. But I'm so glad to see that y'all showed up, because I had friends here to help me walk through this. It was a lot of fun. And I felt I was more tutorial than I figured I was going to be. I thought I was just going to cut up, just sit and chit chat. But I felt good about what I did. So thank you, Cindy. That was really cool. Karen, thank you so much. I think it's going to be recorded. We're going to find out when I end the stream. I'm hoping it keeps it. I'm assuming it does. If not, I guess I have to do it again. But okay, that's life in the new world. Technology has left me out of most of it. But I guess I'll go ahead and let y'all go. I'm looking forward to seeing your reaction to this. I'm going to go ahead and put it on my Facebook and my blog. And I guess all the necessary links are eventually going to be in the bottom. Like if you just joined this as a recorded broadcast and you want the pattern, I'm sure that's going to be down below as well. So until tomorrow at 1 o'clock, y'all have fun. Don't forget your homework and look up double pointed needles if you're not comfortable with them. See you then. Bye.